In this video, I hope to show you quite a few orbs and their movements. The very first few I'm going to be showing you are orbs that are in movement and how they turn their little selves into another orb, and then the part of them that became that other orb disappears because this light just keeps on traveling and reforming and disappearing and appearing again. And when it's traveling, it sometimes looks like a tube, like a worm, sort of, and it gathers in it all kinds of colors. I just want to show you some of the real pretty colored ones as they move. Now, I'm using my camera and focusing my camera on the shine that is on a glass object. Sometimes it's a marble like this, and sometimes it's several marbles like that, and sometimes it's a little thing like this. Now, the glass that it travels through conditions the way the light photons are going to look as they go through the glass. Not only that, I'm moving the glass object and camera into different parts of the space around the light source, because I'm finding out that all around the light source there is light of various kinds and colors, and that it's always changing, and this is something that goes unnoticed by the average person, and maybe it's something that's only now noticeable because things are changing in the light dimensions. Anyway, I was able to figure out a way, quite by accident, of taking pictures of this. One of the reasons that I wanted to take pictures of it was because with the naked eye I could see so much activity in light. But talking about it to people who didn't see what I saw was like trying to describe something to them that they had no interest in because they couldn't see it. So now I can show it partially by these pictures I'm going to show you of light, but know that this is only a portion of what I see in the light with the naked eye, much of which I can't get with the camera. Now, when the light comes out of the light source, and it can be the sun, or it can be a light in your room, it makes an orb, and that orb can morph its body in so many positions. And as it moves, it leaves a little light trail. You can see that right there. I see this on a lot of people's pictures of orbs that they post on YouTube, that the light has left a little trail. That's just a characteristic of it. It leaves behind a luminous little trail, often very colorful. See how colorful this one is? And this is a moving thing, although I've got a still picture of it so you can see it in one process of that moving, and it just sort of moves into different little bowl-shaped parts of itself, and it can look so many ways. You see this one moving. This was at first just a round orb, but then it started elongating its body. It's sort of like this light just flows like water. It flows through itself, and it carries little colorful creations within it. I'm just going to show you a few I have of the more plain ones that are not so colorful, that show the orb folding up like a scroll, stretching, looking egg-shaped here. And sometimes you see it looks like, not so much like a circle, but more like an egg. Only it can stretch out so long that it's more like a ribbon after it leaves this egg stage. and sometimes it fans out like a fan. Now here's a light source up here in the top, and this little orb is coming out, and it's folding up and unfolding too. Looks like a light book. All around the light source, there's these teardrop shaped orbs that come first of all out of the light, mostly, and the light that's in them is very colorful. I will be showing you lots of them. More of an orb traveling and more. Now, the light is right here where this white part is. And this light that's in the space around the light, you can see the strands of colored light coming out. And they come out in such a way that where they are in position to the light, that's how the stripes go through it. It's like a peacock's tail, you know, it just like they're going to be slanted a certain way if they're at the top or if they're at the side. Pay no attention to this thing right here, because that is actual lens flare. I get that quite a lot because I take pictures into the light. And lens flare can fool people. I know it often does. Now, just want to show you a few of the pictures of the light as it folds and grabs hold of color and everything. Here's the light source here. Now these pink things you see, I've seen, I looked up lens flare, and that is something a lot of people get. All these pink, kind of reddish looking balls that are around the light, they say that's lens flare. And I can't argue that it isn't. I get it quite a lot myself. But sometimes I get some color in these lens flares as well, other colors than red or pink. So it's all very mysterious. Now here's an orb that's teardrop shaped, and here right next to it is one that is round. But in any time these orbs can fold. They can start bunching up like just like an accordion, sort of. They can just start bunching up. I'll show you a few pictures I've taken. Like this orb right here. Here's a teardrop shaped one right above it, but this one is folding up like a scroll. And then when it gets out a little further, it gets more of the round shape. And it's like you have several television screens. This one's got a very yellowish blue pink thing going on, and this one has an orange thing going on, and they'd be right next to each other and yet show different patterns of different colors. It's really very interesting. And this is a picture of them moving and stretching. See how this one right here that I got my little arrow on, that will go down into this one, and that one then just completely disappear. And of course they all disappear. They all disappear because they're always moving, and when the lights go out, there's no more light to fuel them, they disappear. Oh, I didn't mean to put it on that. And see how the light orb just travels, and it looks like it went over a big hill here, because the way it gets bigger and comes up there. It does strange things, and it has strange looking little circles in it. I'm always getting these little circles, especially circles with concentric circles around them. There's one that's traveling and stretching and turning into a different shaped orb, leaving a little trail of its luminous stuff behind it. And here's one that actually looks kind of like a worm. They always remind me of worms, their movement. And see, as they come out of the light, they can be just plain and not filled with color, or they can be filled with color right away as soon as they come out of the light. As you can see, these are, and they can start breaking up once they get out a little further. They break up and become part of other orbs of, or photons of light. They're not restricted. They do whatever they want to do, I guess. Look at the colors this one took on as it moved. Fantastic colors. I love taking these pictures because I never know what colors or what patterns I'm going to be getting or what movement. See, you can see this is, I wouldn't say this is 2 orbs, this is many orbs, because any portion of an orb, say this long portion I'm going up and down here with my arrow, that can come out from this orb and become its own orb separate from this one. Coming from it, but making another body of an orb. When they come out of the light, they are so colorful. And it's funny because all around the light there's dark areas. And I will see these color-corded, I call them color-corded because they look like cords of color. And I will see them coming out at the angle that, according to where the light source is, that would be proper for it. If I were to show this, if I could take a picture and show all the orbs around the light source, you would see all of them with those long strands, either this way, or that way, because they come out of the light straight. Not always, though. Now see, this one, the light source was over to the left, and so the lines are different. And this was more closer to the top of the light source, so they're almost straight up and down. And this one was below. But now here's, on this side you see it's starting to get dark, because often I run into darkness that comes from the light. And this picture right here shows it rather well. You can see all these streams of light coming from the source, and all at once right here there's a dark portion of the light that just streaks right through the orb. Here's another little dark portion. Sometimes it's so dark that you don't see the orb at all because it's in total darkness. Now this thing you see, that's part of my lamp, so pay no attention to that. But this one shows a streak of dark. But it's not always just black. It can be brown and orangey looking. Sometimes it does rather strange looking things like this one did. As it moved, it's like another orb, a smaller one, wanted to cut right through it, right there at the middle. And they do move through one another all the time. Now look at this orb, it's folding up on this front edge, leaving behind its little luminous, shadowy part under it. And it's got the circles in it and everything. There's one coming from the light. Sometimes they're very full of color and sometimes not so much color. Sometimes, like this, you have a pattern in the color already. Not that it's going to stay in that shape because it changes constantly. I never get any 2 pictures that are alike. Similar, but not alike, because it is a constantly changing, moving thing. So this is something that is in the world of what moves. Oh, you see, right? See this purple thing? That's the lens flare. It enters into my pictures. I can't help it. But see this orb as it comes out? Out here a little further, it will join with these rounder orbs. And when I say it will join with it, it joins with it because I focus the camera there instead of where it is right now in this scene. Or if it were not a camera, it would be my eyes. So you see, the observer sees the light according to how he or she is observing the light. It's very relative to the observer. There's another one of light coming out. Another. Sometimes as it's coming out, it starts doing its traveling, even in this stage. And you can see this is one orb that is growing a little appendage of itself, which is traveling in that direction, going up, sort of. Although to an orb, I don't know if they would recognize what is up or down. They do what they do. I know that sounds silly, but it's like they have a mind of their own. As I am filming orbs, making videos of them in actual movement in real time, these orbs pulse and flicker. And sometimes it's me with the camera going in and out, but often it's not. I'm holding my hand very still, but it's still flickering because inside of the orb, the light flickers. Well, I've got it on pan and zoom now, so I'll leave it on that for a while and let you see some of these beautiful colored orbs. That one is traveling. Of course, they're all traveling. So with these pictures, you can see photons of light, orb-like photons of light, and how they travel and how they carry color, and how they carry darkness too. They carry black. Black is a color to them, and they use it rather well. It's not like there's some competition between the black, the darkness, and the light, because actually the darkness enhances the light. When the light becomes colors, the darkness makes the colors more brilliant. It gives them sort of an outline. And without the dark, it would be hard for most artists to do any kind of picture at all. We need the black. And these orbs, if they're living, conscious entities, then I think they show something in the way I'm photographing them, of how they pass through each other and how they share their colors with each other. They must see themselves as all one, because when something overcomes them, a black hole like this one's got some black moving into it, it just accommodates itself, and there doesn't seem to be fighting, but sharing. I think everything spiritual can be equated with some physical problem, like if you don't see everything as one, you would maybe try to hoard all of something, but there'd be something that you couldn't get that is vital because of the hoarding tendency. But these orbs share everything, and they make so many little circles within them. If you see, while you see them going by, you'll see within the circle of the orb are other circles, many, many more. There's one where darkness came into that one. According to what glass object I'm looking through the shine of, I'm not looking through the glass, I'm looking through the shine that shines off of that piece of glass. And that shine carries with it some of the characteristics of the glass piece itself. So that shine is magnifying what's inside of the glass, which is the light traveling through it. And when you just have a round marble, you're just going to get a round orb. But when you have something like this thing right here, you're going to get all kinds of traveling orbs that move in different ways. This was one of the color-coded orbs coming out of the light that is partially in the dark, because in these I show how the dark comes from the light source, the darkness. Strange. I know that sounds strange. And sometimes I just take pictures of the most colorful, beautiful orbs I can get because they're also interesting to me. So these next few going by are just some of my very wonderfully colored ones. And even these, I don't know if you can see the bottom half of that one that went by. Part of it was in the darkness. And this is one where there's like a glob of smaller, darker colored, smaller strands that just engulf that one orb. Sometimes I take my camera and I just go up so close inside the orb that you don't even see the edges of it. And then too, sometimes when I've made the pictures, I do a crop of the middle of the orb so I don't get the edges, because some of them are just so beautiful. I just want a close-up look at some of the color combinations. And it's beautiful, and yet there's nothing symmetrical about it. When I was listening to them talk about the Higgs boson, they were talking about the fact that for their mathematics to work at that CERN, place called CERN, they have to have symmetry. Mathematics depends on things equaling other things in a symmetrical kind of way to make their math work. But the problem with that, they say, is that when things are perfectly balanced, they cease to be. And so their math can't work out and us still have a universe or a you or a me, because perfect symmetry, perfect balance means you cancel out everything. Nothing remains. So that is a big thing with them trying to figure that out. Which, if they would read Walter Russell and read about the negative principle, they would understand that nature never lets itself get caught in zero balance, because then it would cease to be. So you're not going to be perfect, and I'm not going to be perfect until we are ready to become one with God and be totally spirit. This little dark character you see here, this is a friend of mine in the light. And there's a ring that came into his world. You see it right here. That's kind of a ring, donut-shaped thing, and it has a little hovering moon-shaped thing above it. Anyway, one day while looking at the threaded light, that as it comes from the light source, this ring came in. It went past. Let me go back and I'll show it to you. This ring, and see the little dark spot here? That's like, well, if it was a diamond ring, that's the diamond, and that's the gold ring. But anyway, only on that one day did I ever see this, because mostly those orbs that come directly from the light, that are color-coded, they don't usually have anything in them like this. But that one day, these rings just started coming through. And these rings have embedded themselves, some of them in my friend Harry, I call him Harry, in his world. Now, Harry's right in this picture. But when I took this picture, I thought, what is this long thing reaching down? And Harry seems to be sort of going into it a bit there. And I've never seen anything that looks like aggression in these orbs, but I thought this looked a little aggressive. There's Harry at the bottom there, and all this long strand of things that look similar to him interacting with him. And I thought to myself, oh, I hope Harry's not in trouble. because you know how us humans fear all the time. But Harry wasn't in trouble. This is Harry again. After that, he became unentangled from it. And now when I see Harry, I've got to show you pictures, but I haven't got them developed yet, that shows that Harry has another growth on his body after having had that encounter with that other kind of thing that looks like him. Isn't this one strange? Now, in this one you will see some of my artifacts. I'll point them out to you. That's an artifact. That's in my camera. Always. It's in the same place on the page. Same as this thing. Same as this thing. And this little thing right here. And another little thing. And there's several of them. And they're always in the same place. So I think they're probably something that's in my camera. But if they are debris in my camera, they look an awful lot like the things that are in the orbs. Because this little thing, this debris, looks like a little pea pod, but it has the concentric lines of white light around it. And so does this, but this doesn't show up in all pictures. And so do these, have the little concentric white lines around them. And I don't know what to make of this round circle. It's so perfectly, almost perfectly round and black. But there it was. Sometimes I get very colorful orbs. I don't know what is the factor that determines whether I'm going to get colorful orbs or not. Look at this one. I thought this one was just like a carnival or something, and the orbs were very colorful that day. The colors are also mingled together. They're not like the color spectrum where you see one color, then another, and they're always in the same order of colors, from the right to the left, and left to the right, a certain order of colors. These colors intermingle, blend, and the orbs have oftentimes holes in them. I'll show you a few holy ones. Or just tracks that run right through them, like this. Sometimes I've seen my own eyelash when I see orbs with the naked eye, and the strand of hair that is my eyelash will look similar to this with a white outline around it. Everything, when you see it in a microscopic way, has these little ripples around it. Ripple lines of concentric light. They're in layers around it. And the entire orb itself has got these little lines that go all around the perimeter of it. Sometimes there's only 2 or 3 you can see, but sometimes there's 5, 6, or more. There are the strangest things that turn up in the orb pictures I see. And see, this one here, it ribboned out, but part of it kind of jumped up and started doing a different dance. I don't know what to say it's doing. I'll just say it's dancing. Because all this light does is move and show its many facets, its many colors, and its many movements. And it's like a dance. This one here, I thought looked rather like a jellyfish. This one's very, very colorful. And see, this one seems to be splitting right here. The color is going to be more orangey on this side and this side less so. And this is the dividing line. Because they can do anything they wish. Any part of the orb can, in a colorful, sparky part of it, can come out and do its own thing. Often I see colors that look like this all inside of some rather muted colors, and then will come these lines like that, patterns. I see this often with the naked eye. Thought this was an unusual looking tube like of the movement of the orb. See how colorful it is? All these colors are just like woven very intricately through there. And I like this one. It's one of my favorites. Got a little checkered board there, see? It wove. They may be going to play a game of checkers. Ha, that's my attempt at a joke. And this one looks like it's going to break apart. This is several orbs here. I'm further back. I'm not so close in. So you can see several of them as they interact with one another. And they can look quite beautiful. This one reminds me of a bat, the way it's moving. The edges of the roundness of an orb can just hump up like this, you know. I don't know what makes it decide to do that. But they can do just almost any kind of movement. Sometimes they do things like this. That's strange, isn't it? And this one I thought was rather artistic looking and delicate looking. Its movement. Harry. Hello, Harry. That's Harry again. And that's his little friend. Now, when I know I'm going to see Harry, I know I always see him only with one of my cameras, my older one, the one that has the artifacts, like this thing right here, and this little thing right here, and another one that would show up that's way up here, but since it's in the dark, it doesn't show up. But this little character, whatever you want, I could ever think to call him. When I see him, I know Harry's not far behind. Because in this spectrum of the light, there's all these little things, little tube-like things. I'm not at all surprised by them. Because when I look at the light with the naked eye, I see tubes, or you might say strings of light, and they just float zigzag sort of in front of me all the time. They turn with me. If I'm in the water and I'm turning around, which I did the other day, I was doing some turns, and I noticed the light was all around me. So I was looking at the little things that are always in front of me, and as I turned, they stayed right with me. They turned as fast as I did, because they're stationary sort of in front of me in a certain sort of way. They're stationary. Not that they don't move, they do. They zigzag move, kind of back and forth. I don't know what it is, but I think it's in our auras that we see this. And look at this one, how colorful that is. There's another of that sort of thing. And this is a real close-up of the orbs, as this is several orbs, I'm sure, and they're twisting and turning like a scroll. And I see this with the naked eye. I see light looking like fabric. It looks like a real veiled, a little thin veil sheet of fabric, and it folds, and it has little things in it that looks kind of like little rips or stress points, like you see right here. And then sometimes it has a pattern that is just out of this world, unbelievable. I wish I could get a picture of light. See how many interactions there are of the light right here. It's like they are getting together and having a frenzy. This light does so much. It's sometimes when it travels, it skirts around, and it vortexes. It makes these little round funnel-looking things. I thought this one was really pretty for its color. And then sometimes the very next orb will be rather plain. Still beautiful though. This is not just full of riotous color, and it's rather muted, but you can see the little circles in it and other tinier circles. And then if you go in even closer, which nope, can't do it. Now I can. Okay. Well, you see the whole thing is kind of a series of little circular things that are far in the background, it would seem, and piled one on top of the other. Oh, went to the next one. This is an orb twisting, making colorful twist. Here's another one folding up, right in front of one that isn't folding up. Sometimes they look like this, and I think this is a rather strange looking one, the way it does. Now this one, see, it's making sort of a funnel. You can see the roundness there. Kind of a vortex. This is so bright because this is made from not the LED light in my room, but from the sun itself. I was outside and I took this picture of an orb from the sun as the source of light. And this is another from that day. And then this, where it just sort of broke up like a wave, and just beautiful. One day, using the very same little glass thing I mostly always use, I got this shape right here. But if I were to try to get that again, I got several poses of this as I was in there. But if today, right now, I said I'm going to do that again, well, I couldn't. Because I don't know how to make anything happen a second time. Sometimes things similar happen a second time, but it just happenstance that it does. Because I don't know the methodology of getting always the same kind of... Well, let me take that back. There is a certain glass, wine glass that I use that always gives me orbs that are full of holes. There won't be the same orb picture I've gotten before with it, but it will be a holy orb when I use that particular wine glass to use the shine off of. It doesn't have to be glass that gives you these orbs. Anything that shines, shiny metals, shiny porcelain, shiny plastic, anything that casts a shiny spot where a lot of light is concentrated in one spot. I tell everyone, well, not many people, because not many people are interested in this, but those that are, I say, pay attention to what shines, the reflection of it. We're reflections of God, and if we shine, we may have some interesting things to show people too. If we pay attention to the shiny parts of others. I like this one. There's one that's fanning. And this one fanned out, but the colors in it are just pretty bright. Green and red, purple. Now this one, I put this here, and the very next orb picture I will show you is something that was in the sky. This. So I found this on the internet. This is a brick wall, apparently, and this is the sky above. And the person took a picture because they thought that looked pretty unusual for these colors to be in the clouds. Now look how similar that is. That is if I turn this over. A minute. Turn it over so it's in the shape that that other one. Didn't quite get it right, did I? Let me go again. Some of the same colors of green and blue and pinkish colors. So I think in our sky there's orbs. I know there are. People get orb photographs all the time in the sky. Some people think they're more than just dust or water or pollen or whatever. And those sort of things, especially water. I take a lot of pictures when it rains. I like to go out and get a lot of orb pictures of the rain because these little digital cameras will really make some of the water in the air shine real bright from the flash. And I always use the flash when I'm taking pictures of outdoor orbs at night from the rain. All these pictures that you're seeing go by, no flash used. You can't use the flash. If you use the flash, too much light will make the whole picture turn white, and then you won't get anything. So if you're wanting to take pictures of these, be sure you don't have your flash on. There looks like there's so much dimension to light, like you could just travel into it. And light just does a roller coaster ride. It just like waves in the ocean that go up and go down and make valleys and peaks. I'm going to go rather fast because I want to show you some of my pictures that I know are further along here of some orbs I took outside when it was raining. Isn't this pretty? I love when they turn out like this. Very colorful. Okay, here you go. These are water orbs here, and some are real big, like you see this big one right here. Now this was sitting on the back porch, and we have some factory buildings behind us, and they have two lights on the back of the buildings. One has an orange light and one has a green light, so that's what that is. And that's one of those factory lights. It shows up so clearly there. But see, these are orbs that are water. And see how similar they are? They carry, this one looks like it's carrying some kind of little design in it or creature. There's one up here that looks the same way. And here's one here that has a little deleted part out of the circle. So I really don't know what to think of these orbs that are made by water, but I do know that any rainy night, if it's even just misting, you go out with your digital camera and you use the flash, you will get orbs like this. See, the rain was really pouring down, and you can see I've got small orbs and I've got some bigger ones that are more, well, I think the next picture will show them better. These right here, they're not small like these out here. And see, there's big and small ones in that one. I don't know what determines that, but this was a rainy night. So when people say rain makes orbs, they're absolutely right. It's just a natural thing of nature to make everything circular, is what I'm thinking. See all the little circles within this? And then the light can move in this pattern and just look like it's ribboning out and having a good time with its buddies. Just moving this way and that. I like this one. Kind of reminds me of a snail or something. This is one I got up on the inside of and got real close into the color. Well, I'm at 46 minutes. Still, I have about 300 in this collection of pictures of orbs. And altogether I have thousands of pictures of orbs. Looking all kinds of ways, making all kinds of movements, and filled with all kinds of whatevers they are. Like my little friend Harry. I call him my friend because when I use that certain camera and I don't see Harry, I'll say, "Harry, show up, please." And usually he does. Sometimes he doesn't, though. But usually he will show up. But sometimes when I snap his picture, he's in an orb that's behind another orb, and the other orb takes over the whole scene. And I don't get Harry so easily until he's in the front orb. This is real cute how that does that. Little. Now some people think that, oh, this one was taken outside. Now, I see the tree in the background. Some people think that taking orb pictures where you deliberately know you're going to get the orb is not the same as when an orb just shows up unexpectedly and you didn't deliberately do anything to try to get its picture. But I think to consciously want to communicate with this light, especially when we don't know much about it and all we can do is look at it and wonder, that couldn't be wrong. I like these pictures because they show more color than those other orbs that people have that show up, and I really do think they might be conscious entities hanging around groups of people, but usually it's groups of people that are showing a lot of gaiety and happiness, because I think orbs like to hang out around positive people. And that's just conjecture on my part. I have no idea if the truth of it. But I do know orbs are an interesting subject, and now I came to the end of the 300 or so pictures I had to show you. And I will say my goodbyes. This is the Dove Lady. Hope I've interested you in orbs. And any questions you have, feel free to ask. Not that I can answer it, but I will say something to you anyway. So this is the Dove Lady, over and out for now. Bye-bye.